Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Wildfires continue to rage in Southern California. More than 500,000 people in San Diego County have been ordered to evacuate. Over 900 homes have already been destroyed. The fires extend from the Mexican border to Santa Barbara. The most devastating fires were in San Diego County. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger has declared a state of emergency.
And we have to do everything we can to help these people to get back on their feet as quickly as possible. And I think that's why we all are here today, so that we can work together and really provide as much help as possible. But first, we have to, just pray that the wind slows down, because the wind is our number one enemy right now, and the dry weather. So we hope that this weather conditions change as quickly as possible.
At least one person has died in the fires. Another 37 have been reported injured, including 17 firefighters. At least 5,000 people have been evacuated to the football stadium where the San Diego Chargers play. One of the evacuees, Darlene Morgan, said the fires had spread throughout her neighborhood.
It's scary as heck. I have no idea what's going on. I mean, everywhere you look, the fires are burning and everything's just happening really fast. So you get in your neighborhoods and then they come through and tell you that you need to leave. So you just sit around and worry about what's going on in your neighborhood with your family and friends.
Many experts have linked the growing intensity of wildfires to drought and global warming. While much of Southern California is ablaze, more than 8 inches of rain fell in New Orleans Monday, flooding parts of the city. Mayor Ray Nagin shut City Hall early and schools across the city closed. More rain is in the forecast for today. No war, no warming. The theme of a day of civil disobedience in Washington, D.C. Monday. Hundreds of people converged on the U.S. Capitol building to protest the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and the Bush administration's record on climate change. At least 61 people were arrested after some blocked a street near the Cannon House office building. Some of the protesters were in polar bear costumes. Before the arrests, independent journalist Robin Bell of Bell Visuals caught the polar bear's arrival at the Capitol building.
Money for healthcare, not for war. Tax the rich to help the poor. Homes not dead, earth not born, rights not born, creams for cars, jobs and organic, winds and solar. Help the poor while we're helping the poor. Stars and solar, wind and organic. Help the people while we're helping the planet. We need wild efforts. We got to have here. The world to be burning. We got to be turning. Give us solutions to war and pollution.
The musical voices of the polar bear protesters among the hundreds who took part in the No War, No Warming Day of Action in Washington Monday, the video courtesy of Robin Bell of BellVisuals.com. Ted Glick was one of the organizers of the protest, coordinator of the U.S. Climate Emergency Council, now in the 50th day of a climate emergency fast. Joining us on the phone from Washington, D.C. Ted, how much weight have you lost?
Somewhere around 35 pounds.
And the purpose yesterday, were you one of those more than 60 people arrested?
I was arrested as part of what was the fifth wave of a series of actions, coordinated affinity groups that took action throughout the morning. It was actually a great day.
What are you trying to accomplish? What are the connections that you're making?
Well, I think most people understand that the Iraq war is all about oil. It's a war for oil. It has nothing to do with terrorism. It's made things worse in terms of al-Qaeda and terrorism. Everybody sees that, who's got a functioning brain, is not influenced by the propaganda of this administration. It's a war for oil. We get the oil. We burn the oil. We heat up the earth. We aggravate and make worse conditions of life for people all over the world as global warming has its impacts. Droughts, floods, sea level rise. That's going to lead to more and more climate refugees, going to increase conflict, lead to more war. It's a vicious cycle. We have to end these wars, get off of our war addiction and our fossil fuel addiction, move to clean energy, be about justice, be about peace, be about clean energy. That's the way forward. This action was all about beginning to shift into a different direction by taking stronger action. The peace movement, the climate movement, the justice movements, we need to be coming together, and we need to be stepping up our tactics, stepping up our actions, and letting our government know we are not going to accept what they are doing, whether it's Republicans or Democrats. The reality is, a year after the Democrats took over Congress, Virtually nothing has changed as far as the major issues, in particular in terms of the war, in particular in terms of warming, and that's why we were out there. That's why many of us got arrested, and this is just the beginning. This is not the end of anything.
Ted Gluck, thanks very much for being with us, one of the organizers of Monday's No War, No Warming protests, a coordinator of the U.S. Climate Emergency Council. On the 50th day of a climate emergency fast, one of the more than 60 people arrested in Washington. As we continue on this issue of global warming, what does global warming have to do with the fires raging in Southern California? More than 500,000 people in San Diego County have been ordered to evacuate. Over 900 homes have been destroyed. At least one person has died. Another 37 people have been reported injured, including 17 firefighters. The fires extend from the Mexican border to Santa Barbara, the most devastating fires in San Diego County. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger has declared a state of emergency. Bill McKibben is a leading environmentalist and one of the leading forces behind Step It Up. In 1989, he wrote the book The End of Nature, one of the first books to describe global warming as an emerging environmental crisis. His latest book is called Deep Economy, The Wealth of Communities and the Durable Future. Bill McKibben joining us from Boston. Welcome to Democracy Now!
Amy, it's good to be with you as always.
It's good to have you with us. The fires in Southern California and global warming, is there a connection?
I'm afraid that there is. This is the kind of disaster that we see more and more of as we begin to change the basic physics and chemistry of the planet we live on. One of the people leading the really brave rescue effort out there yesterday one of the San Diego authorities said, this is the driest it's been in at least 90 years. It's dry because they've had terrific heat and not much rain. And those are just the conditions for that part of the world that all the modeling suggests come about when you begin to raise the temperature.
I wanted to ask you about Tom Swetnam of the University of Arizona, one of the ecologists there. He's written about the connection to global warming. He published a study in the journal Science saying global warming has increased temperatures in the West about 1 degree, and that's caused 4 times more fires.
This is the problem. Things don't work in a linear, smooth relationship, you know. You raise the temperature a little bit, and you begin to get very large cascading effects. So, for instance, across much of the West and Alaska, warmer temperatures have brought with them infestations of new kinds of insects. Those insects have killed off hundreds of thousands of square miles of forest. That forest catches fire once those trees die. All that burning forest sends yet more carbon into the atmosphere. On and on and on. We see the same kind of dynamics playing out now with this drought in the southeast, with the ongoing drought in the southwest. And of course, the U.S. has been hit less hard by these changes than much of the rest of the world so far. What's important to remember, and the reason that we spend all our time organizing now, trying to change all this, is that so far human beings have raised the temperature of the planet about 1 degree Fahrenheit. The computer modeling makes it very clear that before the century is out, unless we take very strong action indeed, we're going to raise the temperature of the planet another 5 degrees Fahrenheit. So take whatever you see now, multiply it by 5, and then toss in all those cascading effects that come as we exceed one threshold after another.
And yet we hardly see, with the massive coverage of what's going on in California, which is very significant, these fires raging in Southern California, the words global warming mentioned.
Well, it's like Katrina. I mean, the sheer horror of it in the moment is so enormous that it's hard to focus on causes. That's why we've got to be building that movement all the time, doing the kind of stuff that Ted Glick is doing in Washington, doing the kind of stuff that at stepitup07.org we're doing all across the country as we get ready for our next round of big nationwide protests on November 3rd. It's only when we're able to take a step back. I mean, the people in California today can't be concentrating on global warming. They've got to be concentrating on getting people out of harm's way and fast. And my aunt was evacuated yesterday afternoon. I'm worried sick about her. But the rest of us...
Where does she live?
She lives near San Diego.